कहानी सुनो जुबानी सुनो मुझे प्यार हुआ था इकरार हुआ था कहानी सुनो जुबानी सुनो मुझे प्यार हुआ था इकरार हुआ था मुझे प्यार हुआ था इकरार हुआ था.
Hello there and welcome back to the channel. What's going on? Hope you're well. Just before we start, I do have two quick apologies to make for some mistakes that I've made in previous videos. Number one, I don't know if you saw the Kahani video, but I'd claimed that my Dai was 90 something years old because I'm pretty sure I read that that's how old she was. Turns out that that information was bad and she was actually 74 at the time of recording. And then in the last video, don't know if you saw that, that was Allahu Allahu. I just assumed that it was a hamd. It wasn't, it was a not. That's my bad. That's why I need you guys here. I need you guys to tell me when I'm being stupid because that's unusually common. So I'm glad you guys are here to correct me. But yeah, how you doing? Hope you're all well. Today, I've been recommended a song by you guys, Kahani Suno 2.0 to be precise. This is Mark 2. And obviously Mark 1 must have gone down very well because this one is sat at 430 million views with 5.8 million likes. So clearly the people are quite fond of it. So without further ado, we're going to check out Kaifi Khalil and see what he's got to say. Oh, and just before I press the play button, if you do end up enjoying the video, consider liking and subscribing. Also, you can check out the second channel in the description. It's also called Vidsworld. Two different channels, both got the same name. Try not to get confused by that. It is what it is. Stop asking questions. So without further ado, Kahani Suno 2.0. It's a good start. It's a great start. Quite a somber start.
कहानी सुनो जुबानी सुनो मुझे प्यार हुआ था इकरार हुआ था कहानी सुनो जुबानी सुनो मुझे प्यार हुआ था इकरार हुआ था मुझे प्यार हुआ था इकरार हुआ था.
You know, it might look quite high quality. I mean, you know, it is. This is what would consider to be a high quality video. Do you know what? It's getting harder to tell these days between really good camera phones and like DSLR/mirrorless cameras. If I had to go out on a limb, I'd say this is shot on a decent DSLR camera. Well, actually no, a mirrorless camera. But then I think, there's not a whole lot of bokeh, so it could be like a new iPhone, and then it's just been like nicely color graded. It looks great, but you're like, to those who know about making film, you'll know that it's not like they're not using like a cinema camera. But that's not me trying to disrespect the video. It's actually a really good thing because it sets a great example. This video has almost 500 million views. Like that's an insane amount of views, and it's filmed on something that is widely accessible. It literally shows you, hey, you know what? You could go and film something like this too. I mean, Kahani Suno, as far as I know, means listen to my story. Hence the somber tone. I'm guessing it's a little more of an emotional piece. Obviously, like, I don't have closed captions this time. So again, I have to infer meaning from the tone rather than the actual spoken words. But like I say, I actually quite prefer that. Gorgeous scenery.
कितना फसाना हुआ तेरे आने की खुशबू तेरे जाने का मंजर तुझे मिलना पड़ेगा अब ज़माना हुआ सदाएं सुनो जफाएं सुनो मुझे प्यार हुआ था इकरार हुआ था.
Interesting. Okay. So I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but and this again, this might be a South Asian thing. I don't know. You guys might have to let me know. But they're using two different kinds of slow motion in the film. Like, okay, so if you look at this scene, for example, so this scene is shot probably at 60 frames a second. They're slowing it down 2 times, so it's actually playing back in 30 times a second. So it's playing twice. It's playing half the speed. So if you look, you can see the ripples through its shirt. It's very smooth. It's like, because like I say, it's 60 frames a second playing back at, or it might be 50 frames a second playing back at 25 to 24 frames a second. Either way, it's hot. It's playing at about half speed. But then, if you look at this one, this scene is probably shot at 30 frames a second and then played back at 15 frames a second. Now, because that's below the magic number of 24, it means you can start to see the small jitters between frames. But the reason that cinema, like the cinema standard, is 24 frames a second is because that's the minimum amount of frames you can have a second before you start to notice jitters between the different frames. Obviously, because it's back on the day, it's saved on film. The least amount of film you could use, the better. But the thing is, if you film at, say, 30 frames a second and you play it back in slow motion at half speed, it's at 15 frames a second, which means, obviously, you know, your eye is going to notice the jitters between the frames, and it gives it like that stuttering look. Now, sometimes that is something you specifically want to do. Most of the time it isn't, but sometimes you want to go for a very specific look, and that's what that is. So, as you can see, so we've got proper half speed there. And then that scene, you can see like it's kind of stuttering about. And it gives it like, I guess they're going for, because it's intentional, because I've seen it more than once at this point. So I'm guessing, I don't know, like say, maybe it's a South Asian thing. Maybe it kind of helps sell the idea of kind of like the nostalgia, the moodiness. It kind of like, you know, adds to the angst of the video. Lovely scenery. I'm guessing it's in Pakistan. We've got slow motion again there, slow motion again there. Okay, do you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This is shot on an iPhone, or maybe just a smartphone. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it's on a smartphone, only because if that was shot with mirrorless, you would have slapped an ND filter on it and exposed the back, because he's very dark there because the light source is coming from behind. And the way that he's not lit up, that's telling me this is probably a smartphone, which is even more impressive, to be honest, because smartphones are not, like, their main function is not to be a camera, although that is what most people use their phones for these days. A camera's main function is to be a camera. So to get 500 million views with an iPhone video is pretty nuts. That's pretty impressive, I gotta say. And the reason I'm guessing iPhone and not Android, for example, is because, like I say, you can get ProRes with iPhone, which means you can like properly color grade your footage, because you can't tell as much here because you lose contrast with the sun, but I'll show you. Here, for example, so that is like clearly nicely color graded film. You can tell it's not natural, but it looks great. So, because it's like, there's definitely a warmth to it. There's much more orange in the picture than you'd expect. There's a gorgeous bit of contrast. The greens are very desaturated, which helps lift the warmth in the skin tones. It looks great. It looks really nice. But you can't do that with just any footage. It'll end up making it look weird. Yeah, there's a nice bit of depth of field there, so the background's quite blurry. It might be two different cameras, but I'm going to go smartphone. In terms of his skill, it's a very subtle song. He's not belting, he's not straining or pushing his voice. He's telling you a story. He wants you to listen to his story. So technically, it's great. It's got a very natural tone to it. There's definitely no auto-tune used, because you can always hear when auto-tune is used. A lot of people think that auto-tune is used to make bad people sound good. Sometimes, yes, but typically, no. Auto-tune makes you sound like you're using auto-tune. It doesn't make you sound like you can sing. Things like Melodyne, for example, those are used to make you sound good, because they're used, that's basically auto-tune that makes it sound like you're not using auto-tune. That's where it gets a bit cheeky, but that's clearly not being used here, because you've actually got some very natural notes. You've got some naturally occurring dissonance, and sometimes like slightly off key, but in a nice way, because like I say, it gives you that, it proves that like he is singing naturally, and you get those small imperfections in the voice which actually sound really good. That's why auto-tune is so instantly recognizable. It's because it takes the human imperfection out of it and makes it sound too robotic. So yeah, it's a gorgeous tone. Kahani suno, zubani suno, mujhe pyar hua tha, iqrar hua tha, mujhe pyar hua tha. Oh, that's a shame it's over. Okay. Ah, there's the cover. Okay. I wasn't able to break down the lyrics themselves because there's no closed captions available. My bad. I should really learn to speak a language other than English, but there we go. In terms of sound, it was great. Really subtle, nothing too bombastic, quite understated, and I like that. And the video was as well. Like I say, that is a video one of you out there could feasibly make by yourself if you wanted. It sets a really good example. Some film snobs will kind of frown on that. You're not using the right kit. You're kind of making a mockery of film production by using cheap equipment. But no, I disagree. It sets a great example. I love do-it-yourself type filmmaking, and that's great. A lot of South Asian production is super high budget, super cinematic. So it's nice to see a slightly different side of that. He's gone out there with one of his friends and made that video, and that's great. I love that. The idea that you can just go out and make something yourself. You gotta love it. What did you guys think? Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I offered what little insight I could. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all very soon.